Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is the 11th of June. Today we'll start with Apple that formed an interesting candle yesterday, and if we zoom in a little bit, it's actually a bearish engulfing. Market opened just a cent higher than the close the day before, but still has to control more or less from the beginning and throughout the session, and engulfed closed lower than the opening the day before, and engulfed basically 1, 2, 3, 4 days of trading, bullish trading, and sellers at bank control. We can also see here on the volume that actually peaked up quite nicely yesterday. We had some divergence here, warning about the previous, that this uptrend here was not that strong in trend exhaustion. If it breaks back below the lower rising trend line there, then we could be in for a more rough ride, and first we could see a sell-off down to a little bit of support here around 186.60 level there, but possibly lower. However, we do have all the moving averages, they are rising, and that could, on the medium term, give a little bit support to the Apple share price. On the weekly, we can see here what's going on. We are very close to previous all-time highs, just below $200. So keep an eye on it. If it takes out the high from yesterday, then this top and reversal pattern here has been cancelled. Moving on to the actual index, and it was actually quite interesting because Apple was negative, down about 2% on a day when the actual indices, they were slightly higher. S&P 500 up 0.25%, highest close. And also what is interesting is that the volume actually picked up, as you can see here, that is supporting this little bit bullish move here from yesterday. So there's still some live back in the or left in the indices. Same picture for Nasdaq, obviously, and we have also the volume picking up really nicely. So I think we will see the indices pushing higher in the coming days. Moving on to the European markets. Still sideways here on Eurostoxx 50. It's a little bit boring at the moment, so I'll skip that. Also DAX also trying to find its feet. If it takes out 18,365, then we're looking at 18,191, possibly down to around 18,000, maybe dipping a little bit below. But if it takes out the peak here at 18,785, well, then expect new highs. The Amsterdam index, there's still, you can see it's right there, so it's testing its all-time high at the moment, and the 927 level. If it takes out the RSI of a falling trend line here, expect a bullish move towards 935, 940. Looking at the CAC index that got hammered from the opening yesterday, but recovered nicely throughout the session, a little bit higher today, or back above 79.14, 79.15. If it can close above that, then at that level, then we could see a little bit of a rally towards 8,000. Sorry, but we have the 55 and the 21 moving average kind of giving a little bit of pressure, at least short term. Again, 7,812 key support to look out for. The Swiss market trying to recover a little bit today, but it's maybe not successful. We have this top and reversal pattern in place. It should ideally have been a negative candle, but it is actually still a lower candle, so I would regard this as a top and reversal pattern. There is maybe a slight divergence. Let's see, 73, 83, and yes, there's divergence here. This peak here is lower than this one, so there's a little imbalance. So we're a little bit stressed here on the uptrend, and we could see a little bit of a setback. But the overall trend is still bullish on the Swiss market, with potential up to 12,500, 560. Moving on to euro dollar, that kind of hammered the past 2 days, Friday and yesterday, almost down to the 61.8 retracement and support around 107.20.25 here, almost hit that. It actually touched the lower part of the cloud. RSI for now is still above a 40 threshold. So if that holds and if this level holds here on euro dollar, then we could see a nice little bounce. If it takes it out and especially closing below, well, then there's further downside potential to around 106.65, possibly lower. If it can move back above the cloud, well, then we could see an upside potential to 108.50, possibly a little bit higher, testing this rising trend line. Let's just have a quick look at the weekly. You can see how it actually broke below this rising trend line there, trying to get back above it, got beaten down again, and as we can see, we are below the cloud now. So it's a little bit on the soft side, but the RSI is still bullish. But so keep an eye on these levels, they could be very crucial. On the euro sterling we talked about yesterday, no support until around 84. Could bounce a little bit here the next couple of days, but the cat is out of the sack, so to speak. So there's no support until around that level, maybe even 83.45 in coming weeks. But a little bit of rebound short term could be expected. Cable, sterling, dollar, I would still consider range bound between 126.70 and 128.20. That is the level. I can't really call it. There is a little bit divergence here on the RSI. These peaks here are lower than this one. So we are a little bit to the soft side in an exhaustion mode, but that can change if it takes out the 128.20. If we look at dollar yen, from a technical perspective, RSI, there's nothing preventing it from moving higher and should make a new higher close. Not necessarily a higher level, but a higher close above 158.34. I think we will see it at around 159, maybe a little bit higher. I think it will push to take out this level here, but it's very it's struggling at the moment, but it could get some new energy if it comes back, RSI back above 60 threshold in the coming days. Euro yen, between the 168.20 and 170.90, that is the range. I can't really call it. I mean, there's divergence on the RSI, so we are in an exhaustive move. So my call is to the downside, but I want confirmation. It could still crawl higher, trying to get back above this 170, spot 90 or 71 level, but I'm not quite sure at the moment. So I will stay on the sideline a little bit for that one, because you can be whipsawed. Aussie yen, more or less the same picture, 102.80 to the upside, 104.95.90 on, 104.90 to the upside. Trying to call back, but again we have divergence here. We didn't have a divergence on the RSI on dollar yen, but the Aussie yen and Euro yen we do have could still crawl a little bit higher due to some yen weakness, but if it takes out 102.80, expect a further selling down to 101 level. Excuse me. Sterling yen pushing higher above the 786 retracement. I think it will test the previous peak here at 265 fairly shortly. There is divergence, but we have RSI back above 60 as we speak. If it takes out that level, 265, 200, but 75, a push to 202, maybe higher, should be expected. If it gets rejected, well, then it could slide lower in the coming days and weeks towards 197.20. Aussie dollar testing support at 65.80. There's a little bit of support here at 65.58, but this is the key one, as you can see. If it takes out that, I think we'll see a sell-off down to the 200 moving average, potentially dipping down to 65 level. Is the 61.8 retracement. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but it could also break that. If it, on the other hand, can rebound from here and push higher, well, then we are still in this range up to 67.15. Dollar Canada, spiked higher yesterday, very close to the resistance here at 137.85, and the 786 retracement very close to that, and I think it will have another go beyond the bullish sentiment. We are currently just around the 60 threshold, but it is still in a bullish sentiment. There's no divergence, indicating we could see dollar Canada moving higher towards a previous peak here at 138.46, potentially higher in the coming weeks. Euro-Swiss, that went through the key support at 96.75. I still think it could dip down to around 96 and then a bounce from there. Negative sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating we could see lower lows. Dollar Swiss testing the minor resistance here at 89.88, just below 90. If it breaks above that, then I think we can see a push towards 90.5, which is the 61.8 retracement of this sell-off there. There's negative sentiment, but a further rebound could be seen. If it being rejected can't get above, then we'll see a retest of 88.80. Finally, the dollar index rejected here at the 105.38 minor resistance and the cloud area. It needs to get back above that for further upside potential. Otherwise, it will slide slowly back towards 104.25. Moving on to gold, that we talked about yesterday, closed below 23.14 key support. Now it's trying to get back above it, got rejected at first take. Let's see the next couple of days. If it takes out 22.77, well, a sell-off down to 22.20, 2200, maybe even dipping a little bit below. If it can get back above the cloud, well, then we could potentially see a push towards the 23.84 level again, and it really needs to take out 23.88. That peak there from the top of the sell-off Friday for upside potential, because for now we are actually in a bearish trend, not 100% supported by the RSI, still above 40, so there's a little bit of hope for gold bulls, but it is 22.77 and needs to hold. On silver, also confirming bearish trend, not 100% confirmed on the RSI. Still potential down to dip down to 28.50, which I think we could see here the next couple of days. Maybe even down to around 28, but I'm not quite sure about that. So the double top apparently still in place or in play. Very hard to tell. It's really struggling at the moment. Sometimes the picture is not 100% clear, other than we have a lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high, lower low. So we are in a negative or in bearish trend, but there is a little bit of hope for silver bulls also. But I believe we'll see 28.50 being tested. Platinum, to the weaker side, got rejected at 55, moving average, breaking below it, and I think we could see a dip down to around 941, which is 786 retracement, then we see a bounce. Key is to observe what's going on with the RSI, will it dip below the 40 threshold null. Copper touched the 50% of this entire uptrend there, just dipping below the 446 or 446 minor support. This support area is key, still above the cloud, still above the RSI 40, so could bounce here the next couple of days, but I want to see it take out this little peak here. We can actually add a horizontal line, say, okay, this is where we need to break above 470, just around that, then it could resume uptrend. Very quickly on the oil markets, that has a very good day yesterday, pushing higher above the 61.8 retracement and just below the upper falling trend line. I think we could see a push to test it. I think it will be rejected, and also the RSI possibly being rejected at the 60 threshold, and then we could see WTI sliding lower again. If it should turn bullish, then it actually, if it wants to turn bullish, it needs to close above 80, but 60 here on. So that's a really hard one to crack, because we have the 100 moving, we have 200 moving, and we have 55 coming down. So up around here, then I think we will see a setback again. More or less the same picture on Brent, obviously. Trading around the 61.8 retracement, could push to the 786 at 83.25, but then we also have some really strong overhead resistance here, just around $85. And key is, will RSI move back above 60 or not, or back below 40, and then we could see another push lower. Finally, on the US 10-year Treasury yields, potential to 450, possibly 455, but 450 we should see that, but sliding a little bit. We have a negative sentiment on the RSI, so that's really dragging on a little bit, but I think that was the bottom there. Just very quickly, we haven't looked at it that much, but the 2-year Treasury yields that bounced off the 466, key support around here, 465, 466, and just around the cloud, above the 55 moving average, could push higher in the coming days. If it closes above the cloud, we also need the RSI to get back above a 60 threshold for further upside. But you can see this range here between 5% and 465. That's a really big range to trade, and it could continue quite a while. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and have a trading.